Hey, Amber.
Hey, Dave.
What's going on?
A lot of things.
Yeah, well, I mean, like a lot of things and nothing all at the same time, you know?
It's very true. Time has turned into this weird, like, folded in, like, ever expanding but ever shrinking, horrible, grim nightmare for me.
Like a pork dumpling.
Yeah, mini folds.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing delicious inside and I can't eat it and I'm sad.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, and so we are recording this. This isn't officially the shutdown. Things aren't shut down, but people are still, like, social distancing and, like, you know, not, well, at least good, normal, sensible people aren't going out in the world and doing things, right?
Yeah, so to provide some context, because I feel like there's a lot of jumps in owls right now.
Right.
We had owls where we were doing pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Then we had Dave's life imploded.
Right, totally did that.
And then we recorded a couple episodes, and then the world imploded.
Right.
So, to provide context to our listeners who may be listening to this in order, there's been about a year gap between some things.
Yeah.
And so right now, we're in 2020, and we are in the middle of a global pandemic.
Correct. I mean, shouldn't be in the middle of a global pandemic, but...
Well, yeah. I mean, if you saw recently any sort of charts where, like, the United States is allowed to go in the world.
Yeah, right?
There's, like, only, like, 9 countries that will allow American visitors because guess what? We're plagued.
Right. That was kind of an eye-opener for me. I don't know. Like, I mean, I think about, like, when the U.S. has restricted travel from countries because of outbreaks of disease, and it's like, oh, yeah, those are like third world countries that don't have the money to, like, have good hospitals and, like, and it's like, oh, shit, we're that place now.
Yeah. America. Super great.
One of the things I really wanted, my whole, like, big chore chart thing of, like, things I want to get accomplished this year. One of them was like, hey, I got to renew my passport. I'm going to get to the place where I can travel.
Right.
Yeah, like, having that passport on hand would be, like, super cool. I had a couple opportunities in 2019. One of my weird friends was like, hey, man, like, I got this, I don't know, some kind of villa in Costa Rica. I don't know.
What?
I don't know, man. Like,
They just bought a villa
no,
in Costa
it was
Rica?
either some kind of, like, timeshare bullshit, or, like, they had, like, rented the villa. I don't know. It's how some, like, mafioso, like, squared a debt. Shit, I don't know, man. These are shady people. Mm-hmm. Anyway, dude was like, hey, man, come on down. It's cool. We got it for 2 weeks. Like, come chill. Just, you know, hop on a plane, come to Costa Rica. And I'm like, yeah, I can't. I don't have a passport. And so I passed on it, which sucked because it looked super nice.
Oh, man.
But, you know, I mean, my life was imploding. So, you know, priorities.
Yep. I mean, and now you can't. I mean, there's no point
Right.
in
Yeah, we can't travel to Costa Rica anyway. So,
yeah.
Just to put a fine point on it, thank goodness my life imploded before the world did. Oh.
Yeah. Ugh. I don't know, like, obviously, you know, we're a comedy, well, we're trying to be a comedy
Yeah, we're doing
podcast.
a really bad job of that.
We're doing a really bad job
like, this is
of being a comedy.
This is so funny right now. Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, ha, 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 ha. But, you know, we've talked about before, like, sometimes we just gotta be real before we can, like, get to the funny stuff. And so for me, pandemic-wise, I don't deal with change very well. I am very much a creature of habit, and also I like to plan things. And for me, the pandemic, the global everything that was happening was obviously very terrifying. And then also, like, a lot of people in America, either they lost their jobs or were furloughed or put on, you know, whatever, laid off. Yeah, fired, straight up fired. Right. So for me, that happened as well. I was furloughed for a whole month. Now, I wish I could have enjoyed it better or more.
Right.
but it wasn't, it's like one of those things where you're like, oh, but will I have a job when I get back? And so the entire month I was just worrying that I would be laid off, let go, or whatever. And so I spent most of my furlough period, which some people at work were like, yeah, it was like a 4-week vacation. And I was like, I just crumbled as a person. Also because it's like again, creature of habit, was used to getting up, getting in my car, going to work, do work, come back home, and then now I just have nothing in front of me. And I was like kind of spiraling into a really deep depression during that 4 weeks. It was whew.
Yeah.
Whew.
On my side, I didn't have the job stress. Like I continued to get paid. Work just did not need my services.
Right. You were just not, it wasn't open, right?
No. And I mean, there were some things we were doing from home and like keeping the ship running and all that. But more or less it was 3 months off, which
dang,
it was.
For you, that was probably amazing.
Oh, God. And I remember like before the shutdown, like early March or whatever, I was kind of joking like, man, if I could just get myself in a position, I don't want the virus. No, that's terrible. But if I could get myself in a self-quarantine position where I could just take a couple weeks off and just like, no one's going to push me at work. I'm not going to get the emails. I'm just quarantining. God, that would be beautiful. And then it happened for like 3 months, and it was actually, like, again, not to like make light of other sorrow. It's not I understand the gravity of the situation, but for me personally, I will always remember this spring kind of fondly because it was just really good quality time with the kids. We ate like kings and played board games, and we're outside during a lovely spring weather. It was like. Yeah, oh gosh.
But it was soul cleansing for you.
It really was. Like, it was, well, I came to a couple of realizations. Like, number one, that like I like being at home. Yeah. I mean, while my life was imploding, like I made a point not to be at home very much because I just needed to not be there. It wasn't a healthy place. And so I filled that time with like, oh, sure, you need my help? Sure, I'm there to help you. Any group, organization, whatever, sure, I was into it. And I still applaud that service, and I'm still a part of most of that. But being at home made me realize, like, I really like this space, and it's a nourishing, like, fulfilling thing for me to be at home. So, and I also realized some shit was out of whack before. And like there's a few things I've really made a point to kind of recalibrate as things have started back up too.
Right. But I was going to say, it's like, well, first off, Dave, like your house is like awesome. Like I've always loved like where you live, like kind of remote, but not too far away from, the things that you need to get and like places you could, well, you don't have to worry about it now because it's not like you're going shopping or movies or anything. You just have a really cool house, and you want your space to be that place where you can escape to. Like if the world is terrible and work and stress, like home should be where you are refreshed and recharged. And prior to all of this, like you said, it was just a negative place to be. But it's really nice that you got this opportunity to change it. Like you said, understanding that it is a really shitty time for a lot of people, that I'm really happy that you at least got to have this experience where you got to like take charge and recreate your space and then now put this better energy into it. Yeah. I think for me, I am a major introvert, and I'm a major introvert who is very productive and good at, I'm good with people in general. And so over time at work, I've become a manager who ends up working with lots of cross-functional teams and talking to a lot of people throughout a day. And every day I was coming home from work pre-quarantine, I was beyond exhausted. I would come home just like completely drained because I would talk from anywhere between 5 to 25 people in a given day, face to face, dealing with people in meeting rooms and that energy, right?
Right.
And so I come home. Home is a happy place for me, but also it was just, I would just didn't have an energy. Now that I'm basically working from home indefinitely, because we have been told that at least through this year, where if you can work from home, I've noticed that my energy levels are just like way better because I get energy from home being home, and I can wake up 8:30, work until 4:30, close my laptop, and then I'm not tired. I'm not exhausted. I have time. I feel like I've been enjoying things more. I've been sitting outside more. I've been doing things outside, and like more things around my house, and it feels really good. Like, this is how work should be. This is how work-life balance should be.
You should come home from work and say, oh gosh, I've got energy for my home life, instead of just being the place that you like crumble onto a bed and like,
yeah, and then just sit in front of the TV.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like, since I've gone back full time, like I'm wrestling with that a little bit. Like I say, it is certainly something I am aware of and like trying to address as best I can. And I'm better at it than I was. And part of that are the lessons from that shutdown. It made me realize that I am actually a much bigger introvert than I had been giving myself credit for. And I think part of that is like my friend groups are mostly introverts. And so like you and I and Josh go do a thing. Among the three of us, I probably am the most extroverted.
Yes, I would say.
But that doesn't make me an extrovert. You know, I'm the tallest short guy is what happens. And so like people talk about that shutdown is just like this terrible soul-sucking time. And it's like, oh God, no, this is like lovely. And I would do this forever. Like I never felt deprived of a thing.
Right. Man, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to the way things were. I think a lot of people don't want to go back to the way things were.
Yeah.
I want this.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think the good news is we're not going back anytime soon.
No, but I just like, yeah, it's one of those things too where it's like, I didn't also realize how much of a toll my psyche was taking as an introvert with how much I deal with. It's like, kind of like how we talk about our pain tolerance levels, right? It's like, you don't really realize how much you're going through until you're like, oh.
Until you're mind swapped with somebody, yeah.
Oh, wow, this is actually really nice. Because, like, I have noticed that, like, I am just way more introverted than I thought, but I'm really good with talking with people, but I don't necessarily want that in my work life. Mm-hmm. Let's just say that. Like, I would much rather be extroverted in my hobby work life than I am in my work life. So I'm trying to, like, figure out ways to mentally mitigate that right now. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, as we're starting to get back up, everybody's back in office. Well, not everybody's back in office, but everybody's back working. We're no longer furloughed. And now we have to deal with people. And I'm like, how can I put a barrier up in my brain against work so I can then turn around and just be on for my hobby stuff that I want to do?
Right. Absolutely. I 100% get that. And I don't necessarily have an answer, but I know a lot of it is just being conscious of that. Because at least for me, a lot of the time I was just not conscious of that, and it's just like, oh yeah, I work, and then God, why don't I want to do X, Y, Z? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, Amber, during this shutdown, at least for me, the kids were home all the time, and like there were a million chores to be done all the time, and like chores became kind of one of the building blocks that life kind of circled around, you know what I mean? As opposed to like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like do a little laundry when I get home from work. It was like, oh, I'm doing laundry today. And not that I wasn't aware of this before, but it really made me think about like which chores that I really enjoyed and which chores I really hated.
Mm-hmm. I hate all chores, but okay.
You do not hate all chores. I'm sure of that.
I have, okay, whatever. Well, okay, where are you going with this?
Well,
Dave?
I mean, this is exactly, you got there. I want to know what chores that bring you joy and like make you feel better, and which chores you truly detest.
Okay, so I already know this about myself from years of living on my own and with people. But I can tell you that the chores I hate the most is yard work. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't like being outside, pulling weeds, sweating. It's because I grew up with grandparents who are gardeners, and the kind of gardeners who are like, not only do they have a vegetable garden, but they have an apple orchard, or they have a little orchard, and then they also have several flower gardens all over like my grandparents owned a house. They owned 2 houses right behind each other, one behind each other. Both of those houses had elaborate, beautiful gardens, rose gardens and flower gardens, and a little vegetable garden. Then they moved to another house where they had an entire empty lot next to them. So another, like they bought basically a house on a lot, but the lot next to it was empty, and they bought all of it together. And then they turned that empty lot into this massive freaking garden.
Yeah.
Tons, like every corner had a rose garden, and there was flower gardens here and there, and there was trees here and there. And every summer of my life, from age 6 to age 17, every summer I was up there for at least a month, if not 2 months, because my mom basically was like, I need a break, go stay with your grandparents. Sure. And my job was to weed things, and I would spend days out there. And also it was the worst when it would go like 4 days and it was raining for 4 days straight, and you couldn't really weed, and then you get out there and it would be like a jungle,
right? Yeah.
And so
you're finding panthers out there at that point.
Yeah. And so I remember like one of my experiences was, or several times, I would weed out there for like hours. And then by the time I got done, it was like I started at like your early morning, and then it would be like noon, and I would be done for the day. But the next day I couldn't walk. Yeah. Like I was like, because I was bent over and I'm like 12. Mm-hmm. So 12 years old already having like 60-year-old back problems. And so I just associate, I did it for 17 or however many years, 10 years. And I'm like, I hate doing it. Mm-hmm. So my outside is a jungle is what I'm getting to.
Okay, sure.
I don't like mowing.
Right.
So any of that yard work.
But it's weird because, I mean, and like some people love mowing.
I know.
I kind of understand why they like it. It just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, me either.
It's kind of a zen thing for them. I mean, like you do knitting, and
yes.
I'm sure to some extent it is kind of a zen thing that like you're knitting and you are, and it's not quite mindless, but it's not like it doesn't use your whole brain.
Plus, there's like this like fascination or like satisfaction as things grow,
right?
And you get done with something, and I can kind of see that in mowing too. It's kind of like Pac-Man, like just picking up dots.
You do the lines, and then you the front yard is mowed, and you've cleared that level. But it just is it doesn't do it for me. I don't know.
Nope. Mm-mm. So that's probably my least favorite chore, and my house is suffering for it. So. Thank God I'm not in a homeowners association.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about them and get angry letters about, wow, you got like 7-foot weeds growing out there in your garden bed. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Whatever. It's rustic.
Mm-hmm. That's right. It's rustic. That's what it is.
It's rustic. It's freaking rustic. These are my rustic ass weeds. So yeah, so that's that. I think my favorite chore is, or it was before the pandemic, and you're going to be like, ugh, at me. I already feel it. It's grocery shopping.
Oh God, that's the worst.
So
I didn't even put that on my. But no, that goes on my list because it's terrible.
So prior to pandemic, I absolutely loved grocery shopping. It was my favorite thing. Like in my house, I'm the one who's like, I love meal planning and I like grocery shopping. It's my favorite thing to do. I enjoy it. But after the pandemic, it became one of the most anxiety-inducing things I had to do for my household. And so at first, and like, this is what happened. So I used to do Kroger pickup. Mm-hmm. It's hit or miss.
Right.
And I would do that like on busy days. But I really enjoy going into the store and being able to look at stuff and pick stuff up, right? And like, what's new? Or I've never seen this before. Or I want to try this, because that's my thing. If I had like an actual like farmer's market that I could go to on a regular basis, I would do that. Or if I lived like in Seattle and had Pike's Place and like I could go there, that would be like I just like looking at things. So I used to do that. And what happened in the pandemic is they stopped doing the pickup. Because they were just
they were overwhelmed with it,
They were inundated with it. So I had to actually go in. And what we would do is, or what we would do is I would do, is I make a huge list that I knew that we could eat off of for 3 to 4 weeks, go grocery shopping, and buy basically a cart full of food, almost overflowing. So that way, because I live with my brother as well. He lives with us, and we would get all this food, and people aren't wearing their masks. They're too close to me. I felt very self-conscious because I don't want to look like a hoarder, because like I'm not. I'm buying enough food for 4 weeks to last for 3 adult people, and it was just like, I made me sweat. I would have a panic attack right before going in, and I hated it. So the pandemic changed what I liked the most about what my favorite chore was. And now I don't have a favorite chore. Now I just hate all chores.
Hate all chores.
I just hate all chores.
Huh. All right.
So that's where I'm at.
No, the grocery thing. Oh my gosh, Amber.
I know.
And I think part of it is that I don't live near a grocery store. The nearest grocery store is about 20 minutes away, which, like, that in and of itself is a time sink. If I'm just going to get a loaf of bread, it's a 45-minute operation.
Right.
And that's ridiculous. But yeah, at one point last year, I got turned on to Instacart, which is like my new favorite thing. And like, I'm ride or die on Instacart now, man. Like,
nice.
They screw stuff up, fine. I don't care. I don't have to go to the store. Like, I'll live with your screw ups.
Right.
Like, it just, and they are, like, it gets better over time. Like, I think the people who do that consistently and for a while get better at what they do, like anybody else. But Instacart will actually deliver to my work.
Oh, wow. Nice.
But not my home.
Well, yeah, because you live
out. Right, I live out. And so, like, but I mean, I'm lucky that I work in a place that has a fridge that can hold cold items and a freezer that can hold frozen items. And so I have it delivered to work. I put the cold stuff away. I put the other stuff in the car. And at the end of the day, I bring it home. And it's just like, oh, gosh. Like, never mind the time that it saves, the frustration that it saves. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I do Kroger pickup now. They're back to doing it because it's less.
If I had a grocery store near me, I would consider that.
Yeah.
Because it's really not bad. It's just like I still got to drive there and back. Whoa.
Right.
But no, I hate running the weed eater. I just hate it.
Oh.
I don't mind the other stuff. I mean, right now it's a humid mess outside, and being outside is taking your life into your own hands with those mosquitoes. But the weed eating is just, if I pull weeds in the vegetable garden, I know that the vegetables will grow better, and like there's a payoff there, right? It's
right.
Like the thing I want is better. With the weed eater, I'm just cutting shit down. Like it's like mowing, only the weed eater is so much more unreliable. It is just, I don't know. This is one of those things you're not going to get, and I dig it. But like 2-cycle engines, and I don't understand them. It's like magic.
I hate having to rethread the stupid.
Yes,
spool.
And I hate that too. And at one point, I looked at getting like the blades on mine, and I was like, if I have to replace these blades, cool, whatever. But like mine is apparently like the one weed eater that the head doesn't come off, and it works with the blades. So it's like, oh god. And I'm just I'm constantly fussing with the thing. Either it doesn't run right or it doesn't start, and then the string runs out, and then it dies again, and then we got to go through the whole process, and then it needs gas, and it's like all this just to cut down weeds. Like I can't even like maybe if I was like cutting them down and like thatching my roof, it would be I would see a point. But as is, it's just it's dreadful.
Okay, so here's the thing. What do you call it, a weed eater?
Yeah.
Weed eater?
Yes.
I always have a hard time with this word.
Well, I mean, I think weed eater is one of those things that it's a brand name that substitutes for the generic thing.
What's the generic thing then?
I think they're officially called string trimmers.
I think that's better, and I'm going to call them string trimmers from now on, because I hate saying weed eaters.
Okay.
I
mean, it's probably because you put like
hard.
4 too many E's in there, but yes.
I can't do it. It doesn't feel right to say weed eater. It hurts my mouth. And also, I don't like saying weed whacker, because that just seems gross.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to whack things.
No, I don't. I don't like it. So I think I'm gonna call him a
String
trimmer,
trimmer. Yeah.
or just trimmer.
Like that is a, because I mean there's other trimmers, but a string trimmer is what that is. And
One of the things for working in the instruction manual world that I live in, we can't say the word Velcro, and for a long
Right.
time I didn't realize why, and it's because it's a trademark name.
Yeah.
So we call them hook and loop, or fasteners, or fastening strips, or hook and loop fasteners in the manuals.
yeah, Velcro does seem easier in that part.
Yeah, I hate saying it, and it's also because you have to translate it
Right.
too, and that
Oh yeah,
sucks.
yeah.
If I had to do Velcro, but we can't because it's trademarked.
Now I will tell you what
Anyway.
my very favorite chore is. It's
Okay.
splitting firewood. Oh God, I love splitting firewood.
That sounds sad. Do you do it by hand, or do you have a machine?
No, I don't. Because the machine would just, number one, it's another thing that's going to break down and need maintenance and like all that crap. The mall never needs maintenance. Like it is just there for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like there's so many other things. Like if I'm doing dishes, let's say. And I don't mind doing dishes. I like cleaning up the kitchen. But like if I'm doing dishes and it's just not going right. Like I can't scrub the crud off of a plate, or I can't get the dishwasher loaded in the most efficient manner.
Yeah.
You got to take a deep breath and like come at it and like calm and cool and like do it the right way. Splitting firewood isn't like that. It's beautiful. Like if it doesn't work, you get mad and you hit it harder. And it's like, oh, this is how I wish everything worked.
Have you hurt yourself cutting wood?
Well, I mean, not splitting
Like spraying.
wood. No, I don't. I mean, there's times my back has been sore from it, but no, not like an injury. But like cutting firewood, like with a chainsaw, yes. And we discussed a long while back that I was burned by my chainsaw, which was hot.
Yeah. Yeah. Doing the dishes has become especially during quarantine now, where it's like we don't eat out as much
Right, yeah.
because we're not out as much. Well, it's like I could pick up fast food if I wanted to, but I'm not driving anywhere. So
Right.
there's no way for me to be like, oh, I'm coming home from work and there's a Wendy's. How convenient. I'm going to go get me a double cheeseburger. Because that's what I sound like when I drive home.
Okay.
I have a very specific driving voice. So anyway, yeah, it's like I've saved a lot of money not doing that. But also on the flip side is we eat at home a lot and cook a lot. So our dishes are disgusting. And so my brother's been really good and on top of that. So shout out to John, brother John,
Yeah.
the best brother who takes care of my life outside
I might
of.
have to throw him a competing offer.
God, don't. He'll take you. He would probably much rather live with you than
Why is
live
that?
with me.
You got
don't
you
know,
got a
you're
pool.
cooler.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he doesn't swim though, so it's fine.
Okay.
And here in the woods, and I don't know, he'd probably like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, and you're also cooler than me. So
No, that's not even close to true.
don't take it away. Don't take him away from me. Please don't take him away from me.
Plus, I get sweet artwork.
Yeah, he did draw you that sweet rabbit with a fedora and a cigar. So
I did set it as the background on my computer because it's so great.
nice.
And obviously, you do a lot of art and drawing too, and it's just one of those things that's fascinating to me.
Making things out of thin air, like just from our brain.
I wish I had enough talent to hone it.
Right. Yeah.
It's like if I just had a dull knife that I could sharpen, but like the knife of my artistic ability is a toothpick. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
Like by the time it just isn't going to work.
It's some skills, yeah, I don't know. Something inherent, natural. Like for John, for him, it's just like he's also just constantly
Right.
drawing. I don't constantly draw. I'm doing other things. So he had that knife to start with, and he just has been sharpening it since he was like
Yeah.
6 or 7.
Hey, that reminds me.
Okay.
In this podcast called Bringing Owls to Athens, we have a segment. It's called Pellets of Wisdom.
I forgot, but now I am reminded that it exists.
People contact us, and they send us questions. Advice questions mainly, but I mean sometimes it gets a little broader. But we have one of those today. Can we look at it?
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I don't have it in
Oh,
front
that's
of me.
okay. I've got it right here.
You're going to have to read this
Yeah,
question.
absolutely, and I will. Jojo writes and says, I have a few weeks in between work. I assume like they are some kind of itinerant hobo, maybe.
Maybe.
What is the best way to enrich my life until I get back to work? Oh yeah, I can't leave my house for reasons. So okay, that eliminates the itinerant hobo. But I assume maybe there's a house arrest issue.
Maybe. Or maybe implying, the quarantine. But
I would assume house arrest.
I don't know, but you're allowed to go outside of your house during quarantine. Like, you just can walk and do stuff. But this makes it sound like literally they cannot leave their home.
Well, yeah.
So, enriching your life, my first thought came to mind was melt a giant vat of butter, pour it into your bathtub, and then marinate in it.
Like, lay in it until the butter congeals.
Yeah, until you become Han Solo in Carbonite.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, you could do the same thing with I don't think you could do the same thing with bacon grease. Because I think your body heat would probably
malleable.
keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if butter would work either.
But I think your body heat would eventually just melt through it and you would sink to the bottom. And probably drown.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah, fine.
I feel like a lot of times we make suggestions for people and it ends up with you're gonna die.
Maybe you're gonna die. We don't know.
Maybe you're gonna die if you do this.
I was thinking they should, I guess, get into miniatures, miniature worlds, maybe a train set or dioramas or something.
Mini painting, that's
yeah,
cool.
Sure.
Yeah, look, picking up hobbies is a good thing to do. I think it's time for you, if you have time, to try and explore things if you have the energy and brain space for it.
I think the beauty in a diorama is that it can be this perfect small thing, and if the rest of the world has gone to shit, your diorama is still good. It's still the little people in that village or whatever are still living their best life.
You could be like me and just watch a bunch of cooking shows, and that's all you do. I've rewatched all of Great British Bake Off. I'm watching something called Big Cooking Time Show Fun Families. I don't know what it's actually called. I watched all of Sugar Rush and Zumbo's Just Desserts, and it's just talk about enriching your life. That's food, super enriching. I mean, that's why I talked about the butter and soaking yourself in it.
It's good for the skin.
Really good for this. Yeah, maybe coconut oil, maybe not butter.
No, butter's good for your skin.
Is it?
I mean, it was good for the chicken skin that I made the other day.
Ooh, yeah. Okay. So yeah, you could do that. Watch some shows.
I mean, yeah, like you say, or you could just apply yourself, right? Learn a new skill.
Chop some wood.
Chop some firewood. Oh God, yes.
I think that Dave would attest. That's probably very life enriching.
It's therapeutic as hell. It just is. Because I mean, how many times in a normal day do you wish that you could hit someone with an axe? I mean, if you're like me,
at least
it's
twice.
Several times a day. You think, God, if I could just hit this person with an axe, then my life, but you can't because they're consequent. But and so I guess we could combine these hobbies, and he could learn to paint the faces of the people that he hates onto the edge of logs, and then split that firewood. And
split a firewood.
And then after a long day of splitting firewood, take a butter bath.
Well, first, take that wood into the house and use it for your wood-burning stove on which you can cook a very delicious meal that you've watched and learned from one of the cooking shows. And then when you're done, take that hot butter bath. So
the end.
There you go, Jojo. Is that the name?
No, that was you had too many Joes in there.
Okay, whatever.
I feel good about changing people's lives for the better. They come to us needing direction, needing guidance, really, and we're able to provide that, and I think it's beautiful.
I think I maintain since the beginning of this show's inception that I take no responsibility for anything that you do with your lives. And if you follow our suggestions, great. And you have a great time, good for you. If you have a bad time, that's not my fault.
Okay. I think it's great. Amber, we've done it. We made an episode.
We did another one.
We did it. we'd better stop before we screw this up.
Yeah, I also need to eat something.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I haven't
Like a
ate
trifle
in
of some sort?
12 years. Yeah, a trifle.
Great British Bake Off is just full of trifles.
Yeah, I got this trifle has a layer of jam and ladyfingers and meringue and custard and fruit.
That place is just up to Paul Hollywood's nipples and trifles, you know?
I've made so many trifles. I don't know what to do with all these trifles. My fridge is just full
And
of
like
them.
trifles don't have a long life, you know?
No, by
day 8, your trifle is trash and you just shouldn't eat it anymore.
it's actually like by day 4 because I leave them uncovered in the fridge.
Yeah.
And then once one trifle goes, I just make another to replace it.
Right.
I just there's like a very comforting. I get a lot of comfort knowing that I have a fridge full of trifle, and at any given moment, I can just tuck into one, and it'll make me feel better about everything. Much like doing this podcast with you, bringing Owls to Athens. Like, we get so much comfort from this show.
Wait. Before you trifle, how can people find you?
Oh yeah, me, Amber. I'm on the internet, like such places as Twitter and Instagram, and a website called Rocket Orca.
Yeah.
Wow, that was terrible.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. You should maybe think about how to do that.
Okay.
If you'd like to contact this show, you can find us on Twitter at Bringing Owls. If you have a question for us, our next Pellets of Wisdom segment, you can email us at owls@geekspective.com. As should be obvious by that, we are part of the Geekspective Network. Geekspective provides many, many products to help you with modern life. Would you agree, Amber?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I agree.
If you want to find me, Dave, you can do that. I'm on Twitter at Steady Minotaur. And past that, like, I'm kind of tired of talking.
Hoot hoot.
Hi, I'm Josh, and I run an actual play podcast that I'd like you to check out. I'm using the Godbound system, and I create a sandbox-style game in a large city called Moxbury. All of the player characters are evil, and I think that this really creates an interesting narrative because...
Nobody cares! I, Azrael, had to reconfigure reality to become the evil saint of Palor. Now I plan to overthrow the government of Moxbury and amass followers. Then I will become...
You wouldn't know the first thing about reconfiguring reality. I did it, not you. I, Milana, want no part of your feeble plans. When my plan comes to fruition, all of Moxbury will become my undead army, with them at my command.
They have to be dead before they become undead. I'm going to silence this entire city and prove myself. Prove Gerlach worthy of the goddess of the void.
No! Leave the monsters! I, Nuak Godslayer, will raise an army of monsters. They will overthrow our human leaders and live free, and I will be there.
Will all you quit your bickering and shut your faces? I, Brimstone, hear enough voices in my head without all of you talking over each other. All I want to do is kill the wizard Shalazar. It doesn't sound too difficult, does it?
If I have my way, it will be. Check out Tales from Moxbury wherever you find your podcasts or geekspective.com.